Meeting order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All board members present except for Nancy Davis. I'd like the minutes to reflect that, please. We got a lot to get through tonight, so bear with us. Appointment of architect. Wow, that's loud. Upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, a motion to adopt the following resolution. Whereas upon the recommendation of superintendent that the Board of Education appoints Fellinger Engineer LLC to perform architectural services for the Eldred Central School District at the point of 6.5 of construction costs. Nice writing, Caleb. Sorry. Be it resolved that the superintendent is authorized to execute an agreement between the district and Fellinger Engineering for such services, a copy of which agreement shall be incorporated by the reference within the minutes of this meeting. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None.
We come down to 3 companies, and we interviewed them here, and we feel that this is a good one to go with, but it was a tough decision, I have to say. Really hard decision. They were all good, but this is one that we're going to go with. I'll take a vote. Stacy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
And I'll abstain.
Amador's abstaining because he works for the firm. Approval upon recommendation of the superintendent to approve the 2022-2023 Sullivan County Board of Cooperative Educational Services administrative budget in the amount of $3,328,904. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Need a vote? Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeses. Ballot for the election to the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. Approval to cast one vote for each of the following vacancies on the Sullivan County Board of Cooperative Educational Services Board. Mr. Kenneth Hilton, 3-year term, Sullivan West Central School. Motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes.
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen, everybody yes. Miss Carol Parks, 3-year term, incumbent, Roscoe Central School. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeses. Mr. Kenneth Stryker, 3-year term, Tri-Valley Central School. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeses. Approval of the ballot authorization of budget. Proposition 1, approval upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the following resolution be placed on the May 2022 ballot, that the Board of Education of Eldred Central School District is hereby authorized to expend $18,987,402 during the 2022-2023 school year. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeas. Approval of ballot authorization of Sunshine Hall Library. Approval upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the following resolution be placed on the May 2022 ballot. That the Board of Education of Eldred Central School District is hereby authorized to levy tax annually in the amount of $31,600 and to pay over such money to the Board of Trustees of the Sunshine Hall Free Library. I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeas. Approval upon the recommendation of superintendent that the following resolution be placed on the May 2022 ballot. That the Board of Education is hereby authorized to enter into a lease agreement to acquire 12 66 passenger school buses and 3 20-passenger school buses equipped with the wheelchair access. The term of these leases shall be 5 years at the total cost not to exceed $1,500,000, which shall be raised by the tax upon the taxable property in the school district to be levied and collected in annual installments in such years and in such amounts determined by the Board of Education. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeses. Approval upon the recommendation of superintendent that the Board of Education of Eldred Central School Districts approve the 2022-2023 property tax report card. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Resignation of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. John C. Morgano.
No.
Dear Mr. Halleck, this letter will serve to give you and the Board of Education ample notice of my resignation from the Eldred Central School District as Superintendent of Schools. This resignation is effective June 30th, 2022 at the close of business. I have enjoyed the past 5 years as the Superintendent of Eldred, and I believe that we have accomplished a good deal of positive changes. When I arrived, Eldred was in physical ruin, and we were heading further down. We were the #1 physical stress school district in the state. Today we are physically sound and have reached the maximum amount that we can have in the discretionary reserves. We are beginning an ambitious bond project and our academics are on the rise. I remain available to assist Eldred in any way that I can once I am retired. Eldred is a special place, and I know that the superintendent will carry the mission forward. I truly appreciate our partnership as we work together to enhance the lives of our students and community. Having a Board of Education that holds the belief that we are here for the children is imperative if we are not making progress. I have always put the children first, and so I have you. Thank you. I will miss being superintendent of Eldred, but I leave you in good hands. Sincerely, John C. Morgano. So Dr. Morgano will be leaving us at the end of June 2022. With deep regret, I need a motion.
I regretfully make that motion.
Need a second.
Can't do it. I'll second.
Yes. Stacy?
Yes.
Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Dr. Morgano, I've seen a lot of superintendents, and you, my sir, are the best of all of them. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Rad.
you.
Yeah, I got chicken skin, right? We've become more than friends, but we knew where business was at times. Sometimes it wasn't good. Some people say, well, we've had our times. But I will say, Dr. Morgano put this school back on the map
Yes.
because it was headed for a place where it was no good.
Yes.
And as I became on the board and sat with Caleb and saw some of the numbers and sat with him, it was a struggle. But he accomplished it, we accomplished it, and we are in a better place thanks to Dr. Morgano.
Absolutely.
It was, but you led the team.
It's a great place.
Greater because of you.
Yes. All right. We need a vote.
The new superintendent will do a
Did I
great
do a
job.
vote?
Yeah, we did.
I think so.
Did we do the vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 6.01.
Okay, appointment of superintendent of schools, Ms. Tracy Ferreira. Resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Principal Tracy Ferreira, effective close of business day June 30th, 2022. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of Ms. Tracy Ferreira as superintendent of schools, effective close of business day June 30th, 2022. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education approve the employment agreement between Eldred Central School District and Superintendent Ms. Tracy Ferreira, effective June 30th, 2022 to to June 29, 2027. I need a motion.
I happily make that motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. So, as we lose one, we gain one, and we gain a good one. When we interviewed Tracy, Dr. Morgano, I sat there and said, we might want to start grooming this one for your replacement. And when Dr. Morgano was absent with some health issues or what have you, she stepped up to the plate, and she took control, and she did it. And when that all got done, I sat with Tracy and said, you're going to be our next one. And the board agreed to it, so Tracy, come the end of June, you are the king, or queen, or however you want to put it.
Superintendent.
And
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
we are too. And I look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Very good, so I'll take a vote. Yes.
Yes.
Stacy? Amador?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
All yeses. Have somebody else can talk. Superintendent's report. Go ahead. Dr. Logano.
Well, in case you didn't notice, we had the drug dogs here today. And it was quite a surprise to the students. I think Owen would testify to that. Nobody knew about it until it was happening. And thankfully, we found nothing. And the dogs hit on a couple of bags, but that could be just as simple as if you had a couple of 20s in your pocket, the dogs will hit on that. This is cocaine residue on most money. But we searched this building high and low. There's nothing. And I have a plan for the next time that'll involve going a little bit more in depth. It's been a nice time here the past 5 years. I've enjoyed it, and I think we've accomplished quite a bit. I subscribe to our philosophy of every Eldred student can and will learn to their maximum potential. Every kid has the ability to excel, and with COVID, the kids were hit below the belt, and they've survived. They were a little rambunctious lately, but that's to be expected after being out of school for a year and a half. This district will be the premier district in the county. We have the staff, we have the kids, we have the parent support, and we have the Board of Education to do it. And there's no reason why we are not number one. Eldred used to be number one in the 70s, and it's going to be number one again. We don't have that far to go. We're well on the way. And I know with Tracy at the helm, you'll get there. And any help she needs, she just has to pick up the phone. Thank you.
That's your report.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Morgano. Second principal's report. Secondary.
We're still working towards our attendance goal. Currently, right now, we are below our goal of 95%. We have, our attendance officer has been making increased home visits to ensure that students attend school and they attend it regularly, so we are still working on that goal. Right before spring break, we had our first annual Student Health and Wellness Day. And that was, a huge thank you to Kelly Prashler, Stephanie Riccardi, because they put such an immense amount of work putting all of that together. The students were able to choose different sessions that interested them. We had everything from Tai Chi on the softball field. We had Aikido, and a huge thank you to Dr. Morgano and his Aikido counterparts for coming in and having our juniors, seniors do Aikido in here. We had Rethink Your Drink, Healthy Relationships. I think it was a great day for the students, and I look forward to next year doing it again with more offerings. We did ask for student responses, kind of an evaluation on what we could do better, and it was a great day. It was a perfect day right before spring break, so that was nice. We currently, Regents update is right now all students will be sitting and taking the New York State Regents exams, just like we did pre-COVID. We have not received any information regarding possible exemptions for students like we had last year. The latest news we had is they may decide that in the middle of May, literally 2 weeks before Regents start, because our first New York State Regents is June 1st, and that's the U.S. History Regents. So as soon as we get more information, I will push that out to the community and to the parents and to the students, because they have been asking about possible exemptions. We've got some, we're back to pre-COVID. We've got the senior trip is coming up, and that is May 16th and 17th. They're going to overnight to Baltimore. Our 8th graders are going to Washington, and that's the same week. It's May 19th through 21st, excuse me. We have prom night, and that will take place May 14th, 5:30. The prom will be at Erie Trackside Manor, and that is at 7 o'clock. I think it's 7 to 11. And then, again, we start Regents right at the beginning of June. So before we know it, it's at the end of the year. So, and we do have our math assessment, grades 7 and 8. Math assessment will be May 3rd and 4th, so that's next week. And then that's it for state assessments, and then we're working towards our Regents. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Tracy from the board? All good. Very good. Moving on to junior, senior high school student report.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'm going to start kind of reiterating what Ms. Ferreira just said about the Health and Wellness Day. All students were able to attend sessions on a variety of different topics, and I'll kind of expand on a couple of the different ones that she didn't mention. So vaping and alcohol, healthy eating, rethink your drink, healthy relationships, STI awareness, mental health and stigma-free language, suicide prevention, social media influences, self-image, visualizing your future, basic banking and credit information, Tai Chi, Aikido, and tours of the hydroponic greenhouse down at the corner in Eldred. As she said, this day was very well received by students and staff, and we look forward to making this an annual event with more offerings next year. The Interact Club hosted an Easter egg hunt for the elementary school students. The day before we left for spring break, they hid eggs in the soccer field, and all the kids in grades K through 2 were allowed to grab 2 eggs with non-candy filling, and they seemed to really enjoy it. The Student Council would like to thank everyone who participated in the promposal contest. The results are out. First place has gone to Brendan Koff and Addison Kidney. Second place goes to Matthew Renato and Dana Donnelly, and third place goes to myself and Amelia Faber. Prom tickets will be sold during 5th period lunch and after school in Miss T's room all throughout this week. The National Honor Society and American Red Cross hosted a blood drive yesterday afternoon. We collected 17 pints of blood. This number of pints is projected to save 50 or more lives. We've reached our goal of 35 pints for the school year, meaning that the Red Cross will be issuing a $250 scholarship to one of the National Honor Society members in June. SAD is bringing a Save the Life tour on May 13th for juniors and seniors in preparation for prom. This tour provides awareness for the dangers of impaired driving. Archery Club is proud to announce that Tristan Troxel is going to Kentucky for the National Archery Competition. So congratulations to Tristan. And the freshman class is planning on having a car wash, depending on the weekend weather, sometime in May. And that concludes my report.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about it. I had the AOK Awards. The students were not able to attend tonight, and they all received AOK Awards. There was 5 students, Matthew Renato, Caitlin Potter, McKenna Cooper, Dominic Filippa, and Sean Furler. We had the spring fling dance for the 9th through 12th graders. These 5 students stayed after the dance, and they, without prompting, without asking, They cleaned up everything. We were able to get out of here within 10 minutes, and the custodial staff was able to stay their regular time. The kids did an amazing job without any kind of prompting. They said, okay, dance is over, let's clean up. So I do want to recognize those students because, you know, it is a lot of help, and it was a lot of work for them to put everything together, but then they stayed and cleaned up. So I will recognize them. They're all in the same lunch tomorrow, so they'll be getting their AOK awards tomorrow and their ice creams.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions for Owen? All good? Very good. Michael, you're up, sir. Elementary principal.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, Dr. Morgano. So our attendance continues to increase. We are approaching our goal of 95%. I hope to and expect the attendance to continue to increase the rest of the school year. We're currently at 92.54%, which is a 0.2% increase from last month. Our academic outcomes continue to improve. I'm having grade level meetings every month. We've discussed next year's class placements as well as summer school. The report card committee, based with stakeholders within the community as well as the staff in the building, has met 4 times, and I expect to present the Board of Education at next meeting our new report cards for Mackenzie Elementary School. Parents were notified of summer school recommendations last week with a due back date back to GRM of May 2nd. We had 98.6% of our 3rd through 6th graders take the New York State ELA assessments. That's a phenomenal number, only having 2 students opt out. We take our New York State math assessments in 3rd through 6th grade tomorrow and Thursday. We have begun enrichment clubs at George Ross Mackenzie Elementary School. We have over 165 children participating, which is over 65% of our student population. The Cornell Cooperative in Sullivan County BOCES 4-H program has worked with our kindergartens and 1st graders and will finish the year with our 2nd graders. And we have a film workshop with our 4th graders in Mrs. Trotta's class. They are now producing a film on the Erie Canal. And buildings and grounds, I'm happy, very, very happy to say that it appears that our playground will be completed on Monday. The group that came in to finish the padding for the playground area just ran out of materials. Those materials will be delivered on Friday and finished on next Monday. So students should be playing on that playground on Tuesday. And that concludes my report.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Michael? All good? Very good. Moving on to Directional Instructional Support Report. Mr. Krebs.
All right, good evening. Dr. Morgano shared with me that I should inform the board, and I'm happy to do so, about my visit. I participated in the Tri-States Consortium when we went on a visit to Warwick Valley School District. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what the Tri-States did during this visit, so you kind of have an understanding of what our participation in Tri-States can move us forward with. So Warwick Valley has what is called a portrait of a graduate. They developed this in 2016. We have similar. We don't have the actual portrait that they had laid out here, but if you want to just pass those down, they have a portrait of a graduate. So what they did is they are looking at how their curriculum fits with their portrait of a graduate. And if you look on the back, it kind of says what each of those areas are. So they came up with a question. They said, to what extent does our K-12 reading and writing program foster the skills in our portrait of a graduate? So myself, along with about 15 other individuals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, literacy coordinators, teachers from the tri-state region, there were schools from Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York that sent representatives, and we sat down and we looked at their evidence. How is Warwick doing with its K-12 program, and how does that support their portrait of a graduate? So during these 3 days, last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we looked at all of the indicators that Tri-State gave us. Are they using performance-based assessments? Are they looking at student data? Do they look at curriculum and instruction? What's their professional learning look like? Is it equitable for all students, and is there a shared vision that's seen by everyone? And over the course of these 3 days, we come up with some conclusions if their K-12 reading and writing literacy program meets their portrait of a graduate. And we give recommendations back to the district. It was one of the most useful professional development opportunities that I have had since I started in education. So I wanted, and all of the people that participated from the other schools, we went through a training about 4 months ago, and that training hopefully gave us a good understanding of how we look at these conversations and these key indicators from a more global perspective, and then can give the district some needed recommendations that they can put forth to help them. I will admit that Warwick Valley had a lot of things in place already. It really helped me open my eyes to the type of things that we need to put in place here to move us forward. So some of the things that Dr. Morgano has set in place already really is sending us in the right direction. And with that, I know that as we move forward with Tri-States, not only will Tracy and I, who have been trained, but we'll start looking at some of our staff members to be trained also. So it was a great experience. I can't give you too many of the recommendations. They haven't sent that to their board yet, but that's kind of what the Tri-States is all about. And I just wanted to share that with you as a board of those experiences that I had, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have about the process.
And our membership is conditional this year. We're going to apply for permanent membership, and you have to be accepted. It isn't automatic. And I felt that this vehicle would be the ideal vehicle to carry us forward academically, because that kind of a visit will be held here. They'll come in from another school, and we'll identify what we want them to look at. Well, Tracy will. And they will focus on that area, and it's professional friends is the concept of the organization. And it's better to learn that way than to find out by trial and error. And I think this program helped Pearl River to excel. And any school, if you mention this kind of schools like Scarsdale and Chappaqua and Byram Hills, they're all in the Tri-State. And it's time for us to get a permanent membership.
Tracy, I just wanted to add, she'll be participating in the same process that I did. She'll be going to Pauling, and we looked at the K-12 as it relates to the graduate. She'll be looking at their STEAM program and how they're implementing the STEAM program and things like that. So the program looks at a school district probably about once a month, where they go and visit and give back feedback on a variety of things. So thank you. I appreciate that we're a part of that, and we'll bring back more information as we move along.
And our initiative, students here will graduate with an associate's degree if they care to be in that program, is far and beyond what a lot of high-powered schools do. And I think that's going to save parents a lot of money, because their child will graduate here with an associate's degree. And it just occurred to us that they were taking all these courses, they might as well get a degree. So that's something we could share with other schools, how we did that. Thanks, Scott, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Krebs. Any questions from the board? No. All good? Very good. Caleb, you're up.
Okay, this thing's working. All right, so you guys just approved this budget. Sorry, I have the word preliminary up there. It's not preliminary anymore. The total revenues, they stayed at $18,987,402. It's the same as it was last year. We're not planning on doing any new hires in terms of, well, of course, to replace the teachers who are retiring, but there are no new hires in terms of new positions or anything of that nature. We're going to do a little bit less construction than we did last year. I mean, we built quite a bit using COVID money, but we also built quite a bit using our own money, because there's a lot of stuff that needed to get updated. Taxes, this is, I just want to put this together for the public, because we're going to put this up on the website afterwards. This is the effect of the taxes on a home that's assessed at $200,000. So Deer Park's a little higher. What happened there was their equalization rate went up a little bit this year. So it's $43.21 for the year. The other are 28 for Highland and Lumberland, and Tustin's is only 23. Their equalization rate went the other direction. So the very small increases, we kept it down below 1%. This year, by the way, we are still planning on putting around 300,000 in the fund balance. There were some challenges coming next year, and luckily the state increased our foundation aid a bit, which helps. The health insurance is going up 7%, which is a pretty big increase considering they've been keeping it low the years prior. Our workers' compensation went up a ton. That had to do with some claims that had happened, and we're part of a self-insurance fund. So it will probably go back down at some point. We don't tend to have a ton of claims, but it went from 145 up to 190. Our fuel costs, I think everybody knows, they're going to be higher next year, possibly as much as 50%. We're actually still getting diesel fuel for $1.93 right now a gallon, because we're locked in until June 30th. July 1st, that's not going to happen. The fuel bids are going out now. It's going to be a decision. I'll work with Dr. Morgano. The first time we're going to fill a tank isn't going to be till October, November, so depending on what the prices are, it might be a wait and see situation. State aid expense ratios, they might get reduced minor, and then of course you have the same supply chain issues that everybody's dealing with. We've still got, Jed knows, the wireless system that we ordered last August? June. We ordered them last June, they're not in. It's been almost a year. So it's just, unfortunately, it's life with these technology things. On the positive, we got a 3% increase to foundation aid. We're continuing to get COVID grants. We're going to have to put lower capital investment in because we've updated virtually every technological thing in the school district, and any major repairs are going to be covered under our upcoming bond project, so there's going to be way fewer equipment purchases next year. And the pre-K grant that I had originally said that we did not get, apparently we did get it. We're getting $108,000 in additional pre-K money that was put on, not in the first state aid run, but the second state aid run. So perhaps they got additional funding, another school dropped out. I don't know exactly what happened there, but they had originally sent a letter saying we weren't getting it. Now we are. So we're gonna get another $108,000 in pre-K funds. And that helps a little bit with that $100,000 gap that we had originally had in some of the state aid stuff. So that worked out good. That's all I had on the budget. On other, so there's the property tax cap report card is kind of part and parcel to this budget.
Average increase.
That's in here in this packet. So what you're gonna see here is that we went below the cap again this year by about $105,650. That's, I know, I'm sorry, I gave you a lot of paperwork.
Well, I think one of the points, Caleb, is that for a $200,000 home, the annual increase is going to be about what a tank of gas costs.
Oh, it's gonna be way less than a tank of gas costs now.
They haven't filled up any of my vehicles. I mean, stuff's at $125.
Well, I don't wait for it to get on the empty.
$28, yeah, no, it's not.
So I think that's something to keep in mind.
Currently, our unrestricted reserves are $2,188,993. That's 11.76%, and it's supposed to be right around 4. What I'm going to recommend the board does is that they put $500,000 into the EBLAR reserve. That can be done on a May or June board agenda. What that funds is vacation, leave, retirement incentives when somebody leaves. Currently, if everybody in the entire district quit today, retired, we'd have to pay out $960,000 to everybody. We have 380 in that account, so that 500 will bring us up to right around 880, which is pretty close to fully funded, which means that in the future, anytime anybody leaves, there won't be a question, it'll be prepaid, their leave benefits. I would also put $300,000 into the retirement reserve. The reason I would do that is you only have $128,000 in that particular reserve right now. What that reserve covers is, and this happened in 2008, We pay a portion of each employee's retirement, usually right around 10%. TRS is 10%. In 2008, when the housing market dropped and the stocks collapsed, the year after that, of course, because the retirement pension fund took a hit, the contribution was 17%. So 7% of right around $7 million is 490 grand. That's a big bill to have to pay. So I think we should have right around $500,000 in that account in case something like that, not in case, it's gonna happen one day. I mean, stock markets go up and down, it crashes one day. And in that case, you'll be insulated from that. I also recommend that you create, and they just endorsed this year, so you couldn't have done this before, but they've now allowed people to create a teacher's retirement system one as well. So the one we have right now is an ERS only. TRS, they didn't originally let you do because they just take TRS right out of your state aid. Now they'll let you make a TRS one, and they'll allow you to basically take out the difference of what that is. So if it's 12% instead of 10%, that 2% extra, you can take out of the reserve and spend on your operating funds. They're still gonna take it directly out of your state aid, but you can use it to replace the state aid that you're now not gonna get. That is a reserve that I would consider funding as well.
Is that a restricted reserve?
It's restricted in a sense. The EBLAR one is very restricted. We can only use that when someone retires. But it's not terrible to have some money in a reserve like that. The ERS one can actually be used for your annual ERS bill if you want to, which is right around $260. So you can get your hands on $260 of it every single year if you wanted to. Same thing with TRS. TRS could be used for the TRS bill. Same thing for workers' comp. That $190,000 workers' comp bill, you could pay for that out of the reserve entirely and then use the funds that you've now freed up on something else.
Right.
So workers' comp, unemployment, and the two retirement ones are, you can get out of it.
Okay.
EBLAR you can't get out as easy. And that should bring us down to around 1.3 million, which is still a little above. And that could get resolved depending on if you had to kick something in for the bond, or if not, you have that available. And then if you don't have to kick anything in, then you'll put that in another reserve as well, and that'll bring us down to the 4%.
Okay.
But if you do, it's still out there to be used. So that's my recommendation on that. It doesn't have to be done at this meeting, but I would recommend you do it before the end of the school year, so probably June.
What are you recommending for TRS reserve?
I'm gonna have to take a look at that because it's brand new. So I wanna see if they do it the same as ERS. Like how hard it is to get a hold of it.
Okay.
Because in the past, what they've done is they used to let you go over the tax cap for that. So if TRS came in at 16, 17% instead of 10, they would actually let you for that 1 year break the cap to pay that. And then the next year the cap would go down by an equal amount. So it was like a one-time break thing. Now they're letting you do a reserve, and I want to see what kind of restrictions are on that. Because there were restrictions on the cap rule. Like they were like, if it didn't go up by more than 3%, you're not allowed to touch it.
Okay.
So I want to see what the rules are before we lock up our money in that.
Sure.
But creating it isn't necessarily an issue. And then finally, we have here, got just a point on the transportation lease. It says 1.5 million. It's probably not going to come anywhere near 1.5 million. The last one didn't come anywhere near what it was approved for. That's just because if it does go over, you have to bid it, so you don't know what the amount is. If it does go over, you have to go back and ask people to vote for it again, which is something you really don't want to do.
The overall cost is going to be about the same as last time, because we're ordering 2 or 3 fewer buses.
Ordering 2 less buses, so it's the cost of the buses is exactly the same as the last one, and it's just going to depend on what the interest rate is, which should be comparable, actually. So yeah, I'm not expecting it to be much different than the last one, maybe $1,000 more a month.
And the new buses will have how many cameras? 5?
6.
6.
One on the,
One on the arm, so if a car passes a bus,
yep,
we got them.
yeah. And then 4 in the bus itself, and then 1 on the back.
Those cameras are very helpful.
And I think that actually touches up on everything. Oh, on the architect proposals, just to touch up on that, Felonzer came in with that 6.5% after. That did make them the lowest of the 2 that were remaining. But I don't think price was the major determining factor. They were all particularly close. But,
They're very responsive.
Right, correct.
They had the whole team online today at 5:30 because I asked them to be available. And they're coming to the bond committee meeting on Thursday.
so that I think is all I had tonight.
All right, Caleb, thank you. Any questions for Caleb?
No, thank you.
Got them all out? Good. I have two quick things, well, one quick thing. I'd like to just touch on the budget quick. We are at that time of year again, and my always saying is, you vote a budget down, you're hurting the kids, you're not hurting the board, you're not hurting anybody but the kids. They're the ones that are gonna be, faced to not have stuff and this and that. And this board and administration, and this whole team has kept our word about trying not to raise taxes, being under the cap when the times are bad. We still stayed under the cap, and we will continue to do so. And I think it's a fair budget, and I hope we get a positive support like we have in the past. We always do. This community always comes out and makes it work. But it's very important that the budget does go through. My second thing is that we had the baseball field redone up at the top field by all volunteers. I got a phone call on Friday saying that they were short dirt. What could they do? I called the big guy. The big guy says, we'll get it done. So they got another load of dirt. And it looks amazing. I drove up there. It absolutely looks amazing. It really does. And I like to thank Nick Sutherland and his guys, Roger and Dylan, Paul Bertram, and Willie Daw. Tom Evers helped as well and sent equipment, the guys to help, but I don't want to get to it. So it was Robbie Robertson, Tyson Dinlinger, and Jim Neek. They were the guys that worked up there. Nick Sutherland has equipment up there on his dime with his guys, and it really came out really nice. So I just like to thank them guys for coming out and taking care of for that. It was, I don't know what we would have paid to have it done by other people, but I'm sure we saved a few $1,000s there.
Well, and as important, it took that team of people hours to do it.
Hours.
Or Troy would have had to do it by himself, and the field would not have been ready for the games. So, thank you to the volunteers.
Absolutely. Leads me to public comment on the consent agenda items only. Public comment. All right. Leads me to the back page, I believe. Yes. Okay. Approval of consent items 9.01 through 12.04. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. Any discussion on any consent items that you've seen on the board?
No.
All good? Yes. I'll take a vote. Kristen?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Amador? Yes. And I'm a yes. Any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? I do have one thing. I got a phone call this morning or this afternoon about the speed limit in front of the school. I guess they've been hunting it pretty hard and they've been writing a lot of tickets out there the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So I was asked if we could, so people are confused. This is what's going around town. This is what I'm hearing anyways. People are confused of the 25 and 35, which is understandable because if you see the 35 and you see the 25 and you don't read the print below where it's 7 to 6.
7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I was asked with our big new fancy boards out there, we could put the speed limit on the board.
Sure.
Since everybody seems to be talking about it and seeing it, that could we put the speed limit, school hours 7 to 6, 25 miles an hour?
And the cars that are getting ticketed are going over 35.
Absolutely, absolutely. I had a car come by me, I was coming down the hill the other day, and I had a car come up past me. If he wasn't doing 50, 55, he wasn't doing that.
So we'll clarify the 25 and 35, but they're going a lot faster than 35.
That'll shortly rectify.
Well, I guess they're sitting out here from what I understand, well, I guess they had a checkpoint out here the other day.
The troopers came yesterday and Every time he parked the car, he went after another car.
Yeah, it was nonstop. So if nobody has objection to that, we could
We'll clarify it.
put that out there and,
Yep.
all right? What do you laugh at?
Sure.
Well, it must be the school's fault that they're speeding.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. All right, second public comment on anything anybody wants to talk about. All good? All right. Announcements. Next meeting will be held Thursday, May 5th, 2022, here at 6 p.m. This will be the budget hearing and regular meeting immediately following the meeting that candidates starting at 5:45. So, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Take a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy, second by Kristen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're done. Thanks for coming.